There is a link between the misogyny of this magnitude that indoctrinated young minds, young boys' minds, and global terrorism. The same bloodthirsty societies that focus on the oppression of women and that are obsessed with women's bodies' purity are also the ones that breed terrorists. Male-dominated countries such as Afghanistan, Iran, and Saudi Arabia, where extreme form of fundamentalism reigns, are the countries that have produced the most terrorists and terrorist acts of the 20th and 21st century. And there is no better time to be reminded of that than tonight, the anniversary of 9/11, when the destruction forces of Islamists came charging down our shores. A child bride who is sold into sexual slavery in the Middle East or South America may dream that one day, when she grows up, she will flee the marriage. But all too often, she relinquishes that dream because by then, still in her teens, she has already a few infants, protecting them, her inability to desert them, but the fear of the world awaiting her outside, more cruel and merciless toward an illiterate woman than the world in which she is trapped, is hard for us to fathom. Nevertheless, there are girls and women who attempt to flee or seek opportunities through the promise of jobs outside their small, unforgiving world, except that in most cases, these women, whether fleeing the steppes of Siberia or the rice fields of Vietnam, most likely fall into a trafficking ring. Slavery has not been eradicated from our globe. According to a UN report, every year 1 to 2 million girls and women are ensnared into brothels from Berlin to Calcutta. The atrocities visited upon women are not limited to illegal activities by individuals or crime gangs. In recent decades, we've seen mass rape as the tool of war to break a woman's will, to break her nuclear family, the village, tearing the country apart and ending up in a military victory. But then when the war ends and people crawl out of the ashes to resume their lives, wars have shattered cultural norms and trained men to think that when they want sex, all they need do is overpower a girl. According to a report published by Human Rights Watch, rape and other forms of gender violence are, quote, inevitable part of school environment for many African girls who are subject to sexual violence. Then there is the burning of the brides in India, the mass gendercide of girls in China. There is the clitorectomy of 2 million girls a year in Africa and in Muslim nations. Amnesty estimates that there are 130 million women who suffer not from what we in the West tend to dismiss as female circumcision, but rather a brutal, radical excision of all or most of the female genitalia. When first encountering some of these atrocities while attending the International Women's Conference in Beijing in 1995, I also wondered about the mother's complicity in some of these acts, such as the clitorectomy. And I soon learned that in that case, Mothers who see no future for their daughters other than to be sheltered and fed through marriage see that purity as the only meal ticket for life for their daughters. More disturbing is the Chinese mother's complicity in infanticide. More specifically, gendercide, setting up girls for death. Infanticide is as old as China. Those of you who remember Pearl Buck's The Good Earth, published in 1931, she talks about the killing of a baby infant girl in a time of great famine. In my interviews for my novel China Doll, I interviewed Chinese women about birth control in their youth, and many of them told me in a very flat voice that when they had babies, they either smothered them with a pillow or their husbands drowned them in the river. Why, though, today, when famine in China is a thing of the past, do mothers abandon their daughters or kill them? The reality of the long-seated tradition of preference for boys, and which refers to women in China as, quote, the maggots in the rice, is what many Chinese women experience as utter misery. Poorly educated and often medically neglected since birth, forever cut off their birth families since their teenage years when they are given away in marriage, sexually enslaved to their husbands, often ridiculed, beaten, and starved by their in-laws. Chinese women demonstrate the highest suicide rate in the world. Half of all female suicide in the world occur in China, 5 times higher than the next country, according to a World Bank, Harvard University, and the World Health Organization surveys. No wonder Chinese women do not want this life for their daughters. What is the answer then for this bleak state of global gender discrimination that results in female misery and death? I'm upset myself, I'm sorry. Education. Education. When women are educated, they delay marriage age. They have fewer children. Their earning capacity increases. They are less likely to start their own business. They're more likely to start their own business venture. When women are educated, they have a better chance to pull out of poverty. They seek education for their children. They present role models for their daughters and present their sons with a fresh view of women in society. When women are educated, they help better other women's and children's lives. They are more likely to seek leadership roles or run for political office. They're better equipped to fight for their legal rights. They are less likely to tolerate extreme forms of religious fundamentalism that is the root of terrorism in our world today. Women of the globe are not the problem. They are the solution. When women, 1/2 of the world's population, are educated, society doubles the progress towards development and prosperity. So let's take the lead and to turn the vision into reality. IBPW represents the collective voice of women around the world who take charge of their lives. And Liz Benham, the president, is fabulously qualified to lead us as we outrun the bear or the systems that hold women back. So let's put on our sneakers and win the race. Thank you.